would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Husnick, liaison from the city council. I'm here. Mr. Lynch,
Present.
Mr. Munson,
Here.
Mr. Steeler,
Here.
and John Schmidt is here. Mr. Gallmeyer is not. He is a possible airport commission candidate. We have a quorum.
Righty. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 7th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve them. I've read them, and I believe they're true as, or rather correct as written. Therefore, I'll move to accept them as written.
Is there a second?
I'll support that.
Seconds. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
We have one abstention, Mr. Munson. All right, we will move on to item number 4, the DeLong ski plane base on Lake number 1. Let me scroll forward to.
Is there any way to get that on the big screen? And if no was the answer, that's fine. We've all got it up here. We have a very small audience. There's no reason to push this. Thinking about possible viewers at home, but. And if no was the answer, we'll just not worry about it.
Bit of an advance.
Okay, that's fine. Let's, Mrs.
Erica,
Erica, come on up here.
Yeah. You could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
All right, thank you for putting us on the agenda. My name is Erica DeLong. This is my spouse, Paula. We're both pilots. Been a resident of the Forest Lake area for 51 years now. Took my very first lesson out in Forest Lake in 1992. Have been an aircraft owner the entire time. We currently live, I grew up on the south side of First Lake, and first started utilizing the lake in 1992 with winter flying off of the lake. At that time, there was a seaplane base out there called Waldorf that was located on the north side. It's been, Waldorf Seaplane Base had been there my entire life. Looking back, it's hard to find exactly when it was started there, but I'm gonna say mid-60s, maybe 70s. Sam Husnick may know, just being in the community. It was the Waldorf Seaplane Base up until about 2002, 2004, at which point it became the Madsen Seaplane Base, serving the Forest Lake community seaplane pilots, utilizing the north end of Lake number 1. About 2.5 years ago, I applied, as I have a seaplane myself, and I live on the north side of First, actually 2 doors down from the old Waldorf seaplane hangar that's currently still there on Lake 1, 2 doors down. I applied for a private seaplane base license from the state of Minnesota. Found out a couple things. One, they didn't have a problem with issuing me a license. They actually came out and did a site investigation, took some measurements with the GPS, took some photos of the beaching area, my windsock, and the general area from MnDOT, Minnesota Department of Aeronautics. I also did learn that about 3 weeks prior to my phone call that the Madsen Seaplane Base had been terminated. It was due to, per MnDOT, a brutal divorce in which the one person was a pilot, the other person was not, and they canceled the seaplane base because of that. So what I did is I asked if I could just change the overlay to the DeLong Seaplane Base, and they said, unfortunately, due to it being expired and not renewed, that I needed to apply for the process of a seaplane base over again. About 1.5 years ago, I applied via snail mail and was told that apparently the FAA does not really work via the mail, even though I filled out their form, did exactly what they said. So I worked with the state of Minnesota, and they put me in touch with the person at the at FSDO, and I electronically filed. What I did is I submitted a packet to Miss Christina, and that has the application along with the correspondence as far as that. So my goal here is to just reconnect and reestablish the base that's been there for the last 45 years. Doesn't change any operations at the Forest Lake Airport, doesn't change the pattern, doesn't change any frequencies. What it does do, though, is it puts the seaplane base back on the map as a boat anchor on a sectional. It also has airport directory information that would be available as well, depicting the pattern, the altitude, contact number, and things like that, along with GPS locations. It's also going to put the lake on the same frequency as the airport. And that is one of the things that the FAA had suggested because we are in such close proximity to each other, that we be monitoring the 122.7 frequency. When I originally applied with the FAA, they didn't really look at the application that closely. They applied as if I had a paved strip or a land strip. They didn't understand, didn't look at the application close enough to realize it was on the water. So their ask was they wanted a tetrahedron at the airport out in the lake. I can't provide that. I have a windsock on my dock. The MnDOT wanted that, so I did that. The other thing that they wanted to do, they didn't realize that I had already designated a modified traffic pattern so that there would not be conflict amongst the two airports. And I had also already submitted the 1227. So I called the guy. I'm like, what do I need to do to get this? And he was kind of embarrassed. He says, I need you to do this at least. I sent out a letter, at least get the 1227 that you're talking on the same frequency. I said, the alignment of the runway, it's a lake. I can come in whatever direction you need me to, because it is a private airstrip, or a private seaplane base. So, and the light bulb went on in his head. I said, normally we fly over the water, we set up for landing, and then we land into the wind. We could be 5 degrees this way, 10 degrees this way, but in general, the pattern is designed to go away from town and away from the Forest Lake Airport. So what I'm proposing is the letter of agreement between the Forest Lake Airport and the Forest Lake Seaplane Base, which will be called the DeLong Sea and Ski, so it'll be also in the wintertime. The letter of agreement was actually a cut and paste from the FAA that they suggested. Here it is, here's the blanks. I transposed it to you and filled in the information. If you look on, do you guys, did they give you the packet that I gave to Christina?
Yes,
Okay, so if you look on attachment 1,
page 13 of our PDF, 13 out of 36 is attached.
there's attachment 1 showing, just so that, let me see here, I had it right here. So attachment 1 is going to be a non-standard pattern. On the left side of where all the writing is on attachment 1 would be town, and it would move all the traffic to the east away from town. 3-6 heading to the north would be right traffic. For 1-8 water to the south would be left-hand traffic. If you look on attachment number 2 has the current left-hand traffic at the Forest Lake Airport as far as that. And then I also have an attachment 3 is the two traffic patterns with each other. And if you look on the way that the lake is set up on attachment 3, It keeps the traffic over the water, away from the houses, gives you the safest, most neighborly way to fly. That's very, very, very important. And then once you do take off, it goes to the least populated area. The midfield downwind for the Forest Lake seaplane base is actually a very open area with a dairy farm, as far as that. The next is actually my license issued by the state of Minnesota. I'm recognized as a seaplane base already. So really, it's more of just a procedural, got to dot a couple I's, cross a couple T's, as far as that. So I'm not anticipating any change. It's private. It's at my home. I'm not selling any fuel. I'm not giving any flight instruction. But with it being a spot on the lake, it's also can increase some safety as well. There's a contact on the lake. I've got a place if somebody needs to pull an airplane up to shore, they can punch it in their GPS, come on over and pull up to my dock or my shore. I'm set up for airplanes. So right now we only have one seaplane. We're not anticipating any more. I don't even keep it normally at my house. I keep it over at the Surfside Seaplane Base, but for a handful of times a year, it'd be nice to have it over at our house. So what my ask is that the representative from the airport, and I believe it's Miss Christina, I'm asking for her signature for this. This is the same signature that Mr. Munson, or Mr. Madison needed himself when I was on the airport commission. It was actually signed off at the commission meeting. I don't see her today, but I asked for a unanimous vote on this issue.
Does anyone have any questions for?
My first concern is when I see airport seaplane base, I just think of like fuel pumps and docks and storage areas. And I mean, what is the benefit of having a personal plane base?
So it's private. It's designated as private, and the FAA doesn't allow that, and neither does the state of Minnesota. So my license does not allow me to use it for commercial purposes at all. And it doesn't even allow me to do flight instruction out of there. So it's literally just putting the base on the map so they can navigate and they can have a contact for someone on the lake.
I mean, my other concern is that when I took my pilot's training or whatnot, that was designated there. And I was just curious why it was there. I mean, there's no restrictions right now for a seaplane not be able to land on first, second, or third.
No, there's no restrictions whatsoever.
So I'm just having a tough time getting my arms around why we need it.
Okay. One is it puts a radio frequency out there for the seaplanes. It'll actually put 1227 in there, just like we do at the Forest Lake Airport.
Okay.
Two, it allows us to provide support to some of the other seaplanes. I could put out a NOTAM if I needed to. Could be a contact for that spot of water. Three, it also, by designating it an actual base, someone could put that into their GPS, fly straight to it, and then have a safe harbor, a known area. As you go around all these lakes, if you're not familiar with it, you don't know where you can stop. You don't know where you can call ahead to drop someone off if you need to. It's very, very limited. So it just puts a marker on there. And my contact information would be that.
And then the other concern I've got too is the reason for objection from the FAA was the overlapping traffic patterns.
Yes.
And then
that's
did you correct it by doing the right traffic on 3-6?
It was already right traffic. He missed that point. And then also he realized as well that my traffic pattern is down low over the water. And he didn't have a problem with that. He was more concerned. His biggest concern on the phone was that we were just talking to each other in 122.7.
I've got no other questions, I guess.
Else have any questions?
Do you think this will affect, I have a couple of questions. Do you think this will affect the seaplane traffic on the lake that might currently be there? Do you think it'll be increased numbers or anything like that?
Got a pretty good feel of what's going on right now over at Surfside since I'm based over there. I think what it'll actually do is bring a little more organization. It'll allow people that are not talking on the radio currently operating around the local area to be on the 1227 frequency. It will also give a point. When you say I'm on the water to the north and east of Forest Lake, there's lots of water out here. But if you say I'm departing the DeLong Seaplane Base in Forest Lake, any pilot, any GA pilot can look at the map and see that area, where that area is. And it's also the largest area on the lake, and it's actually the least busiest. Because I live there, I see that. I wouldn't want to increase the traffic in front of my own house, and I don't think that's gonna do it. It's actually gonna bring, I don't think it's gonna change the traffic, but it may organize people to be a little more fly-friendly.
And then I also read in that packet too that we can only make a recommendation for the letter of agreement. But it sounds like the mayor would have to sign off on it because there is no airport manager.
You may not be aware of that. There's some interim things going on with the city.
So I asked them that specific question, and I said, can the chair or the interim person do it? And they were okay with that.
It'll actually be the mayor that would sign off on it in this case.
So-
But, yeah.
And then would the mayor sign off on it without any legal counsel?
I would imagine the mayor would contact the legal people of the city. I don't know if she has any other questions on it. She'd bring them forward. She didn't bring any forward in the paperwork here, so.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
could just
Jolene.
provide a little context here. Because the Airport Commission is an advisory commission, the recommendation would be to move this over to the city council for the mayor's signature and approval. So it would have to go onto a council agenda, and then the mayor would be able to sign off on it after the city council reviews and approves it. Now, part of that process is usually that our city attorney is taking a look at what is being submitted for council approval. She will get eyes on this.
Okay.
And if she has any concerns, we'll discuss those concerns, bring those forward. We'll chat with you folks about that as well if needed. But that would be the process at this point.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to talk about it too if they have any questions later on, so.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's a recommended motion in the packet, and I've changed the wording a little bit because it's not quite as specific as I would like. If you look at the motion in the packet, it's on page, help me out.
Page 10 of 36.
10 of 36.
Well, basically, the way it's set up, we have three options. One, we can recommend the approval of the letters of agreement as submitted. Two, we can identify any amendments we want made to it, or three, we can recommend that it not be approved. So what you're saying is with the recommendations of approving, you have some changes to the verbiage.
Look at the verbiage in the bold print on page 10 for a moment. The verbiage says, motion to recommend approval of the letters of agreement that the DeLongs have submitted, replacing the airport manager with the mayor's signature. That's not what is meant. What is meant is replacing the requirement of the airport manager's signature with the mayor's signature. That's what is meant.
Okay.
We're not replacing the airport manager, replacing the airport manager's signature. So I, of course, changed the wording. So the wording that I would have is motion to recommend approval of the letters of agreement, replacing the requirement of the airport manager's signature with the mayor's signature, and then blah, blah, blah on from there. That's,
Would you like to make that motion?
I so move.
Can we speak, can I speak on
Yeah,
it?
Of course,
please.
yes.
So this is what they had sent me, and in the copy of the letter, and it just says, signature, date, Orville Wright, manager, existing airport.
Thank you.
I'm sure they'll
If
be
you would like
fine
to
with the
see
mayor.
that, this
They'll be
is-
fine with.
Yeah,
the-
I think
no,
I
that's
saw
fine.
that in the
Yeah.
packet, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they'll be fine with the mayor's signature.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any additional discussion on, we have a motion and a second? All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
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 I,
Three, all opposed?
I'll abstain. I don't understand the need for it, so.
Mr. Lynch abstains. We have it passes, moves on to city council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to our agenda, I think Silas is next on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Steeler. I just wanted to kind of provide you guys an update on a couple of the construction projects occurring at the airport and then kind of some of the future proposed projects there. So for the taxiway Alpha 3 and taxiway Bravo construction, we are kind of substantially complete. You know, the Alpha 3 connector is open, available for use. I'm not sure if any of the pilots here have utilized that to kind of access the hangar area there. You know, with how busy the airport is now, what MnDOT recommended was another access point to kind of the south hangar area to kind of alleviate any traffic either at the fueling area or kind of over by, you know, the hangar number 1 location. So, and then the taxi lane Bravo extension with utilities is there for, you know, up to 4 additional hangar lots to be constructed upon. So we're in kind of the punch list phase of the project. You know, we need to wait for the oil out of the bituminous to cure so they can put the pavement markings in the parking lot and then the center line stripes down the taxiway, taxi lane Bravo and then the taxiway A3 connector, and then just kind of monitoring the landscaping and making sure that that comes to fruition. Any kind of questions or comments about that project?
The drainage on the south end, is there any issue with that? I would taxi by there the other day and there was a little bit of standing water and some waterfowl in there.
Yeah, we're monitoring it because it's supposed to be an infiltration basin to meet kind of the Rice Creek watershed district
Right.
requirements. So we put one in on the north side that, as you see, it's performing as it should. And that was an extension of the existing basin. So we're looking at that one on the south. I was out there today before the meeting, and considering it hasn't rained for probably 2-3 weeks, I was also surprised to see some water standing in there. And we have photos of more water in there even during periods. So we're looking at it, we're talking with the contractor about, you know, what happened there and why isn't that area draining out through the drain tile system that exists. So it is something that's on the punch list, Commissioner Steeler, and we are monitoring.
Okay, any other questions on that for Silas?
All right, the other project that's ongoing this week is the crack repair project for all the airfield pavements. So the contractor, Farner Asphalt Sealers, they began on Monday, kind of crack sealing the hangar area taxi lanes. Then on Tuesday and today, they kind of moved over to start crack sealing the runway 1331 and then also taxiway Alpha. Today, they were also able to continue crack repair on the entrance road and the one taxi lane connector that they had not gotten to on Tuesday. Right now, they're ahead of schedule. They're anticipating wrapping up tomorrow. You know, their schedule said wrapping up on Friday, but if all goes well tomorrow, they should be able to remove the traffic control and then reopen the runway for Friday's usage. So, and then upon this project being completed, Forest Lake is on the state's contract for remarking the airfield. So I believe the same contractor, Farner, has the state contract for pavement marking, and they're scheduled to come in, I think, either next week or the following to remark the runway, the taxiway, and all the airfield pavements. Any questions on that project?
So they're not gonna mark till next week. They're doing crack seal this week?
Correct.
And the runway is completely closed all day,
Correct.
right? And so when they're doing the markings, it's gonna shut down the runways all day as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Do you know, Tam, that?
So, Public Works Director Adams issues NOTAMs for the airport. Yeah, unfortunately, we tried to kind of get them scheduled, but considering it's the same contractor, Farner Asphalt, it's a different crew for them, so they want to make sure they're done crack repair and then follow up with pavement marking. So I understand the frustration about an additional day of a closure. All right, and then kind of the next two projects there, so we discussed these kind of at the August 7th Airport Commission meeting where MnDOT did offer state funding in state fiscal 2025 for design for the 300-foot runway and taxiway extension project, and their plan is to follow up with a state grant in 2026 for construction. And the rationale for MnDOT kind of separating the projects was to kind of separate out some of the costs to make it easier on them to budget for construction in 2026. So with that project, as we kind of discussed at the August meeting, is that the plan would be during construction to displace the threshold of runway 1331 down to 2,100 feet so that the airport can remain open while construction of the extension is ongoing. So after the Airport Commission, made the recommendation to move forward with the projects and accept the state funding at the August 26th City Council meeting, the same recommendation was put forth to the City Council, and the City Council also approved the recommendation to request state funding for design for the runway and taxiway extension project, and then similarly kind of the clear zone acquisition plan. So included in your packets are the design proposals from Bolton and Mank to complete the project. I won't go through it in detail, but project cost for design for the runway and taxiway extension is estimated at $250,000, 95% state share, and then 5% local share. And then the estimated construction cost for the project is $1.4 million with the state share, 95%, and the local share there. So what I'm looking for is just a recommendation to move forward with the proposal for City Council approval at their next meeting.
A motion to move forward with the design for extension.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I made the motion and Mr. Lynch seconded it.
There you go. Thank you, Mr.
All in
Chair.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it passes unanimously.
Thank you. And then the next project is kind of the clear zone acquisition plan. So the name is misleading. It's not actually acquisition of the clear zone. So off the end of 1331, MnDOT has a trapezoidal shape that's called the clear zone, which is there for the protection of people and pilots. If there's an event that occurs, either takeoff or landing, it's usually right off the ends of the runway. So MnDOT desires that airport sponsors own that trapezoidal shape in fee, so that, you can ensure there's not a home or a school or something that's going to congregate people built up there off the end of the runway. But MnDOT also understands that it's not always feasible or possible for airports to own that entire trapezoid. So off the south end, Forest Lake owns the clear zone in fee and has it kind of cleared of any potential obstacles. But off the north end, the 1-3 end, Fenway Avenue kind of cuts through the northwest quadrant of it. So what the issue is that MnDOT has a scoring prioritization model that, by not having either a clear zone or having an exemption on file with MnDOT, future projects at Forest Lake are losing points. So it's kind of jeopardizing the ability to fund projects. Now where that matters is as you move further away from the runway centerline, scoring for projects gets a little tighter. So by completing a clear zone acquisition plan and requesting and receiving the exemption from MnDOT to their policy about owning all the land under the clear zone, my belief is that future projects for Forest Lake will score higher and have the better ability to receive state funding. So similarly, that project, we discussed it at the August 7th Airport Commission meeting, the August 26th City Council meeting. They recommended moving forward with the project as well. And it attached is in your packet is the Bolton and Mank proposal to complete the clear zone acquisition plan to request the exemption. The total fee is $10,000 with the state share 95% and the city share 5%.
Can you tell me which page that's on, please?
35.
Thank you.
And do you need a recommendation from us for that to go ahead, or is that?
Correct. Recommendation from Airport Commission to approve the proposal, and then the next steps would be going to City Council, their next meeting.
The motion would read something like recommendation to approve the proposal for the clear zone exemption,
Clear zone acquisition plan.
clear zone acquisition plan. Thank you.
Were you making that motion, Mr. Schmidt?
I was.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Lynch seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any additional discussion on the motion before we vote? There is no additional discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
For the time.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Silas. No, that's it for me. I don't have anything else on that one. Anybody else have any other questions or anything for Silas while we have him here? And Silas, do you see any need to meet? Our next meeting would be December, the first Wednesday in December. And schedule-wise with approvals or finances or anything like that, there's no need, is it, to meet before then?
I don't have anything that
Okay.
needs airport commission discussion by the end of the year.
So the December meeting would be acceptable. There's nothing on the agenda that needs to move faster than that. We always, Jolene, just for your sake, we always kind of get concerned about that with budgeting things, but, okay.
Keep that option open, no, always.
Yes, yeah, yes.
We don't want to pin it down to just,
No, right, but yeah, for right now, we don't see a need to meet in November, the first Wednesday of November. The first Wednesday of December would likely be our next meeting. Staff updates, that's to you, Jolene, anything?
Just as you guys see, Ms. Hant isn't here this evening. The city council on Monday voted to not renew the contract with her, so she's transitioning out of the interim city administrator position. I've been appointed as interim city administrator until a permanent city administrator is brought on board, hopefully in the near future. So I will be taking on her role at the city in addition to my other duties. I'm going to be relying heavily on Silas because this is all new to me. So I just ask for your patience. If questions come in, I will be reaching out to you folks as well. But reach out to me if there's anything that you need from the city, and I will do what I can to get you answers and keep projects moving forward.
And if you have questions for me, if you have my cell number, if you don't, I'll give it to you. Because if you email me through the city email, I kind of check that only sporadically.
Understood.
So, yeah.
Understood.
Anybody else have any questions for Jolene, comments? No? We'll move on to our liaison update. Any updates, Sam, from city
just a
council?
couple, Jolene just went over one of them. We're deeply into the search thing again for an administrator, and Christina had, within the last, being considered anymore. So what we're doing is our search group is looking, giving it a couple more days and see if we can get a few more people to apply, at least where we can, instead of having 2 people interviewed, maybe 3 or 4, so we have a better choice, you know. We're hoping that we'll have those names by maybe the end of the week, next week. We're hoping, we just don't know.
Sure hoping.
But the interviews wouldn't take place until sometime in November. And then, after that, it all depends on their availability and all kinds of things can get in the way. So, but that's our number one issue right now, is making that we're sure that we could get a permanent administrator in place here as soon as we can. This has been going on for
Oh, yeah.
too long.
January of last year.
Yeah, and so, the other thing we've been working on, of course, is the budget, the preliminary budget has been set. That's set September. Right now, it's at 11.54%, and we're gonna be working hard to see if we can modify that between now and December. And it's one of those deals where you can lower it, you can't raise it. So we set it at kind of a max amount there. The other thing, at the last meeting, we looked at some preliminary plans for some work on Highway 8 coming up a couple of years. So lots of things happening. Arthur Bolton and Mink engineers are working on that, and they just presented some preliminary plans on that. So other than that, I don't have much more, except to tell Jolene how much we appreciate her stepping up to help
Yes,
us out.
thank you,
And
Jolene.
she's got a big job to do because she's already doing her own job, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So certainly lean on any one of you guys for answers,
They say,
including me.
Sam, I got a quick question. As far as the airport manager, is that now been shelved? As far as
It's not been shelved, it's just necessarily, we didn't have anybody apply. So, to me, I've had this conversation 100 times before that it's something that we've always gotten by with, having a staff member do it. If there has to be an exchange of money somehow, sure. But in my mind, there's no need for a full-time manager out there.
I kind of agree with that.
And to spend money needlessly doesn't make sense to me, but the thing of it is, no one applied, period, so.
Thank you.
With that part of the meeting concluded, we go to open forum, which looks like there is no open forum unless you have anything online. Anybody online texting or
We have one observer online, but no indication.
somebody's mom or
It's my wife.
your wife? Okay, making sure you're here.
My wife. Hello, honey.
With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion. Second? Second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:05.
Did Mr. Lynch second that? Okay.
Curtis did.
No, Mr. Munson did. There we go. Thank you.
Second Monday.
There we go.
Yesterday, Tuesday was
We're
the
done.
first of the month, so next Monday's the first Monday.
Right, yeah.
You have a little bit of time.
Quick and easy, and it's already dark out.
I needed to get.
Complain,
Just get them to me
complain, complain.
by